Good evening, Arkansas, and hopefully everybody's had a great start to the work week across the natural state. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who made the phone calls to the National Weather Service last night and this morning. Radar upgrade did get postponed as we hoped, at least for a couple of days, enough to where we can track severe weather across the state. We weren't really worried about it, but we were just kind of hoping for at least to have that one added radar in effect. That way we have that extra bit of good news to add to it. Another set of good news we have this evening is our threat is definitely there, but it includes more of the eastern half of the state compared to the western half, as we were expecting several days ago.
Right. So, as Derek mentioned before, we do have the higher risk across eastern Arkansas, but I want to kind of stress to you guys, particularly in central Arkansas, because I know a lot of people are kind of seeing the marginal and slight risk area. You know, the moderate risk is out into Mississippi, and everybody's more concerned about Mississippi than in Arkansas. But there's a couple of things that we're going to talk about in this live stream that will really kind of drive home to the point that you shouldn't let your guard down at all here in Arkansas as we get towards tomorrow here, because first and foremost, we're still 24 hours away from the main event. So things can and will change and stuff like that here. But we do have that marginal risk from Mount Home all the way down to Russellville and Conway, down towards the Queen and Texarkana. The slight risk goes from Walnut Ridge to Jonesboro, down to the Metro, down to Magnolia and Camden. The enhanced risk goes from Blytheville all the way down to Stuttgart, which includes much of Arkansas County, and down into Monticello and El Dorado. And then the moderate risk, far eastern Arkansas, we're talking Helena, West Helena, all the way down to Lake Village here, down there in Ashley and Chico County here. So, like I mentioned before, the risk has shifted further to the east for today. However, we're still kind of monitoring everything and making sure everything is good to go. We're still going to go into SWAT mode at midnight to account for our friends over there in eastern Arkansas here. But definitely
and of course, you know, one thing to remember in that enhanced risk and the moderate risk, there is a threat for strong, long track tornadoes tomorrow.
Yeah. Speaking
in the enhanced risk or the moderate, it doesn't really matter. This is the area that we are, that they are concerned about for that possibility.
Yeah.
And again, enhanced and moderate risk both have that threat for strong, long track tornadoes if everything comes together. And of course, over the course of the day, we've seen the SBC risk has been kind of stay put right to where it is, but we're watching guidance kind of trying to transition a little bit back to the west a little bit.
Yeah.
And which puts obviously the risk areas in play as is, but also it includes a little bit of our marginal and slight risk areas as well.
So here is the overall timing, because I know a lot of people are kind of tuning in, trying to figure out, what the timing's going to be, what are we looking at, stuff like that. Western Arkansas, I'm pretty confident that you guys are going to be good to go. From Fayetteville to Fort Smith down to Mena, over to Harrison, I think you guys are going to be good to go, which is a complete opposite of what we did with on November 4th when you guys were the highest area of seeing severe weather. So that's kind of flip-flop from one area to the state to the other. So you guys are good to go over there in northwestern Arkansas and western Arkansas here. In central Arkansas, you're in the marginal and the slight risk areas, okay? This is a very critical point because I think east of Little Rock, I think that's where your higher severe threat is going to be. And please keep in mind that we're still 24 hours away from this event. We've seen crazier things happen where we think we have a solid idea, then we get to the day of game time, and things are a lot different than what we're looking at. So that's why we're asking you guys. I know you guys are good over there in western Arkansas, but in central and more than likely in eastern Arkansas, you need to stay weather aware for tomorrow. I read Memphis's area forecast discussion, and it ain't pretty, folks. It is not good at all, and they're really harping on everybody to make sure that they have a way to get warnings for tomorrow here, okay? So, slight risk, I mentioned before, from moderate risk to Jonesboro to Little Rock. We're looking at about 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. timing. This timing is subject to change, so continue to follow us for updates. We'll have more updates throughout the day tomorrow. You guys are going to see me a lot tomorrow, then you're going to see me, Derek, and our good friend of ours, Kevin from Arclitet's Weather Center. He's going to be here helping us out in the Weather Center tomorrow evening as well. But 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. across much of the area. Eastern Arkansas, I think you guys are going to be more into the mid to late afternoon hours, going into the evening hours tomorrow night here. Okay, we're going to have to watch it closely. And the biggest thing I want to stress to you guys right now, it's going to be multiple rounds of severe weather. It's not going to be, a storm here, specific minute by minute, hour by hour timing. It's going to be multiple rounds. So some folks may not even see anything, while others may experience multiple rounds of severe weather for tomorrow. So please keep that in mind across the board. Go ahead, Dan.
And of course, obviously, let's look at the tornado risk itself, because this is where our concern is for a tornado outbreak potential, again, across much of the Delta region of the state. But keep this in mind. You notice the green, you notice the yellow. These areas still have a risk for tornadoes tomorrow. I want to stress this over and over again.
There's a lot of folks letting their guard down in Central Arkansas. So
all it takes is one storm to fire in this environment tomorrow. Along I-30, the Sardis tornado was in a slight risk.
Yep.
So just to give you an idea, so just because you're not in that higher risk potential for a tornado risk, or a long track and a tornado outbreak, doesn't mean you can't get an isolated tornado or two, especially if we have a lot of storms form along the cold front behind the
main event,
it will
behind the main storms coming in tomorrow afternoon. Then you'll get a cold front coming in tomorrow evening here. But the biggest thing, guys, biggest thing is don't let your guard down across Central Arkansas here. So Elijah, my favorite guy, man, he's asking a question about why did this move east. The biggest thing on this system, and the reason why it moved east, and right now, I'm still having a very hard time convincing myself that this is going to be this far east. Great news for those in western and central Arkansas. Yep. The biggest thing with guidance right now is what we're in that winter mode with guidance. And normally when guidance does that, it's typically less amplified with the ridging, more amplified with the troughing. It's much more progressive with everything. And we end up seeing things kind of slow down on day one. That's why we're kind of telling everybody in Central Arkansas, yes, it's a lower threat. You may not even see anything, but keep your guard up throughout the day tomorrow and make sure you stay with us for updates, okay? Because all it takes is this thing to slow down, and we're talking a completely different ball game from where we're all right now. The biggest reason why this is further to the east is because of the progression of the system. That's the biggest thing at this point. Great question. Could this shift further east and get southeast Arkansas out of the moderate risk? Yes and no, because this thing is going to be limited to how far east it can get, because there's a ridge off to the southeast. This is the reason why Alabama, Georgia, Florida, those areas are not in this severe threat, because they're covered by the southeast ridge. This thing is trapped between a trough coming in and a ridge to the east. It's literally trapped. And the biggest problem I'm having right now is trying to figure out how strong this ridging is going to be. Because if it's much stronger than what is anticipated, this can end up further to the west when we're expecting. So kind of watch it closely. But in eastern and southeastern Arkansas, don't count on this thing moving out of the state. You need to be ready to go for tomorrow. You need to have a plan ready to go. Do not let your guard down. I wish I could pull up Memphis's discussion. But please, do not let your guard down tomorrow, guys. And just because you're not in that higher risk, don't let your guard down either. Keep in mind, from Mountain View to Hot Springs to Texarkana, you're at 2%. I always tell you guys all the time, that's the starting point for the tornado risk. Then you have the 5% of the low area from Walnut Ridge to Jonesboro to Little Rock, all the way down to Magnolia and Camden. And obviously, the risk gets higher the further east you go. But do not let your guard down, especially over there in eastern Arkansas tomorrow. You guys are going to be under the bullet of this severe threat. Further to the west, you're hanging high for now, but just monitor everything over the next couple of hours, over the next 12 to 24 hours, and we'll keep you guys updated on that. Okay, but go ahead.
And let's look at our wind risk. And there's a reason why we're so concerned about
skip ahead.
About the tornado threat. Now, keep this in mind. There is a damaging wind wind threat across eastern Arkansas. But will there be a line of storms, or will it be mainly super cell mode? And that's what we're watching for tomorrow. And right now, trends are we're going to see more of individual cells compared to a line of storms. And the reason being is because you're going to have what we call parameter spacing, and a lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of dry air still in place. It is going to be chilly this evening. It's going to be chilly overnight. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Don't let your guard down with that, because as the warm front comes north tomorrow, it will quickly destabilize our atmosphere. And what that's going to do is that will lead to very strong wind energy aloft. And what that's going to do, as that works towards the surface, that's going to lead to at least isolated areas of strong to damaging winds. Now, the tornado risk is hatched for long track tornadoes. Our wind risk is not hatched in Arkansas.
It's not hatched at all. They got rid of it in Mississippi.
So what that tells me is that they're leaning more of a tornado event than they are a damaging wind or a hail event.
Yeah.
And with that being said, that means that that's where your threat is going to be heightened more or less.
Definitely. So this is the biggest thing that I kind of want to stress to you guys right now. I got rid of spam, by the way. You're good. Let me go over this real quick, okay? So the biggest thing is going to be the tornado safety for them all. And I'm reading the comments right now, and I know a lot of people are not tuning in. They're kind of like, you know what? It's going to be Mississippi. I'm not worried about it, et cetera, et cetera. If you are Eastern Arkansas, and I know we have over 160,000 people on this page. Somebody's got family in Eastern Arkansas. I know it. Somebody's got family in Southeastern Arkansas. And there's a lot of folks down there that don't have a lot of news coverage because of, Little Rock or anything like that. Tell them about this page. Tell them that what we do here. Let them know so that way they can stay updated for tomorrow. Keep this in mind. This risk is not just in Mississippi. I've heard that all day long. Arkansas has been overlooked and stuff like that. Arkansas is not out of the game at all. Like I mentioned before, all it takes is this thing to shift a little bit further to the east, not east, west, and we're back in the ball game, okay? But you still have to watch out for Eastern Arkansas. Guys, also one more thing. The radar's been taken care of.
Yep.
That's done. We got that over with this morning. They delayed it. It's all the way into Wednesday. I think Wednesday morning they're going to start it. So no need for the radar stuff. We're good. We're perfectly fine on the radar. We're going to be just fine. But anyways, as I mentioned before, in Eastern Arkansas, do not let your guard down tomorrow, okay? The biggest thing is for tornado safety. If you have storm shelter, great. If you don't worry about it. You have other options. You can get to an interior room. You can get to a room without windows. Grab a helmet, by the way, something to protect your head from potential trauma, and make sure you have a place tonight. Sit down with dinner. It's 6 o'clock. Sit down with dinner right now. Say, hey, we got severe weather coming tomorrow. What can we do to stay safe? What is the game plan? Where can we go? And stuff like that. If you're planning to travel, make sure you have a game plan, okay? The marginal and slight risk areas is still in central Arkansas. I know everybody sees the news about Mississippi. I know what's going on out there. But do not let your guard down in Arkansas. Arkansas is not out of the woods. Until this threat is completely out of Arkansas, I'm talking a marginal and a slight risk. Until that risk is completely over the Mississippi River, Arkansas is not done with the potential of seeing severe weather. So keep that in mind for tomorrow here, okay? I see that question as well. Any chance of this going high risk? No. I don't think this is going to be a high risk. It's way too many questions for this to go a high risk. I think this is going to be a really solid moderate, but I don't think this is going to go high risk unless something majorly changing between now and then. Derek, I'm going to let you get this one, the field modes. I'm going to let you get this one.
All right, so Jared, this is a really good question.
Really good question, by the way.
And, when we talk about failure modes, and there's several different things that go into a severe weather event. You got to have lift, you have to have instability, you have to have moisture, and of course, obviously, you have to have your system. And if one of those things are out of sync, then the entire thing can just completely bust. And obviously, that's always our hope, that we see a bust, nothing happens, no lives lost, no damage, and it's done. Again, I would rather forecast an event where we are telling you outbreak and it busts and nothing happens, because that means lives are saved. But now,
property
again,
as well.
Yeah. And again, so there are definitely failure modes with this event tomorrow. The biggest question is going to be is how far north does our instability axis get? How far north does our moisture get? Another thing is there's a 700 millibar layer. There's a layer of dry air in place that could prevent storms from. Remember, this is what we talked about capping. This is what I talked about. This is what I talked about with our past events. We storms have to have ability to go up into the atmosphere. Well, capping inversion is typically a warm layer aloft. But this time we're talking about a dry layer aloft.
Got it.
So this time we're talking about kind of we are talking about a layer aloft where the storms are going up, but they hit that dry air. Well, a storm needs warm, moist air to keep going up in the atmosphere.
Yep.
And with that layer of dry air, that could prevent storms from going up. Therefore, they fizzle out before they ever get going. Now, guidance has started to trend away from this dry air per se.
You can see around
in
2
the
o'clock
mid
over
to
here.
upper levels of the atmosphere. Now, that also means a lot more rainfall as well. The biggest thing is going to be is on the western edge of this risk, you're going to have what we call warm air advection, and we see a lot of rainfall on the western edge of this. That will lessen your severe threat on the western edge. And I think that's what SPC is thinking, is that you're going to have a warm front setup where your warm front kind of stalls out along the Ouachita Mountains into the Ozark Mountains.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of rainfall on the backside of it. There could be enough dry air in place where western Arkansas didn't even see any rainfall out of this.
Or any clouds.
There's been
clouds. There's been some cases on the model guidance where there's just not even clouds. There's just pure sunshine over there in western Arkansas, while eastern Arkansas is dealing with severe weather. So I do agree with you, Derek. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
But I do agree with you.
But I think our biggest failure mode, Jared, for tomorrow is going to be, does our moisture, does our instability get to where it needs to be in the state? Because here's the thing: if you have storms along the Gulf Coast tomorrow morning, the storms in Louisiana in cold season events are notorious for blocking the ingredients needed to get north into the state. It's something we're going to have to watch as we go throughout the day tomorrow.
I was going to say, matter of fact, we can take a look at this, and you can see all that thunderstorm development along the coast and stuff like that.
So confluent bands as well.
Confluent bands setting up. So it's something we're just going to have to watch throughout the day tomorrow. Jessica, I see your comments, guys. I'm going to have to ask you guys for a little patience, okay? We're trying to get to everybody as quickly as we can, but we got a lot of information we're going to go over. We were planning on going over Futurecast and stuff like that. So here's what we got, okay? And keep this in mind. Futurecast is not going to be 100% right down the bone. It's not going to be hey, this is a minute-by-minute forecast, a second-by-second forecast. Expect this at this particular time. The biggest thing is you got to know the zone time frame on when to expect severe weather and have a plan ready to go. Great comment I just pulled up. You don't need a moderate risk for tornadoes to get tornadoes in a marginal risk. The Springdale tornado, I bring it up a lot. It happened in a marginal risk area. I want to stress that, guys. I'm not expecting a significant amount of severe weather. Could you see a tornado? Possibly, especially in eastern Arkansas. Is everybody going to see a tornado? No. Is everybody going to see severe weather? No. Is everybody going to even see storms tomorrow? That's going to be a no. But the biggest thing I want to stress to you guys today and tonight is to have a plan ready to go, especially in eastern Arkansas. Because I know there's somebody out there that's saying, oh, hey, we're not getting any kind of coverage or anything like that. We need some kind of coverage. We don't know what's going on. Send them here. This is what we do. This is why we're here. Okay, so Wood Friends of Train Spot. By the way, speaking of weather spotters, if you're an experienced weather spotter, contact us. Get us a inbox. Make sure you're experienced. We're requiring, I think, 1 to 2 years at least. Yeah. And give us an inbox, stuff like that. And we're going to need you guys tomorrow as well, especially over there in eastern Arkansas. But let's take this out. And you can see by 3 o'clock, and that's what I mentioned before, don't pay attention to just the strict radar. The radar is going to be less than 100% accurate, but the timing of this is what we're looking at, okay? So that question is going to be a no, and I'm going to tell you why. Because of the fact that, like he mentioned, your 700 millibar dry air. is going to cap the majority of this event. Now, I'm questioning this a lot because of the fact that, one, our storm system just got sampled today. Like, it just got sampled this afternoon. So data has to come in for that. I told you that was going to fall. Data has to come in for that, and then it has to translate into the model guidance. So it's going to be tonight, first thing tomorrow morning. We may not even know a full answer until the event is about to get started. So that's the biggest thing, the radar. Radar is going to change a lot, but you need to watch this very closely. Another good question. And we're expecting this moderate risk to move into Mississippi County.
That is possible.
That is possible. But I want to stress something right now, guys. Okay? I get it. I know a lot of people are seeing the moderate risk and freaking out. Don't let your guard down just because you're not in the moderate risk area. Let me repeat that. Do not let your guard down just because you're not in the moderate risk area. You do not need a moderate risk to take severe weather seriously. It can happen in a marginal and a slight risk. I know it's not popular on paper. It's not the most biggest thing on the planet. But do not let your guard down just because you're not in the moderate risk area. I do agree to your question, by the way. It could move up into Mississippi County. Memphis is really concerned. As a matter of fact, once we get past Futurecast, I'm going to show you guys the discussion. They are extremely concerned about tomorrow. They are urging everybody to make sure they have a plan ready to go for tomorrow. Regardless if you're in the moderate or in the enhanced or the slight or the marginal, have a plan ready to go for tomorrow. But back to the Futurecast, okay? So you can see over here in Eastern Arkansas, we've got sales going over here. We're going to have to watch this close as we get towards tomorrow afternoon. Any sales that get going over here will be capable of producing severe weather. Now, the biggest thing I want to stress, and look at there, this is what I mean. By 6 p.m., you've got sales developing across Eastern Arkansas, down here to Southeastern Arkansas. You're going to have to, and these are super sales, by the way.
More sales.
Yeah, more sales.
More sales.
Yeah. So that's going to be the biggest thing for tomorrow. And one thing I want to note as well, this is going to change a lot, and you can see with the with our Futurecast, look at the hooking already with these sales. So you're going to have to watch that tomorrow across this area here. Let's go from Little Rock down to El Dorado, points east. Western Arkansas, right now, you're sitting pretty. Also, one more thing I want to bring up too, the cold front. We don't know what the cold front's going to do either, because the cold front's going to be moving into a very unstable environment. And cold fronts are notorious for eroding 700 millibar dry air slots. So keep that in mind for tomorrow here, for tomorrow night. And you can see what happens. There's your cold front coming in. It's not convecting on our Futurecast, but there's your cold front. So we'll have to watch and see if this starts developing any storms out here. This is where your wind threat may end up if storms are able to get going across the area. And then it gets out of here by the time we get towards your midnight, 1 o'clock time frame here. But something we just have to watch very closely here, okay? So, yes, the risk has shifted to the east since yesterday. And I'm concerned about this. I'm very concerned about this. It was the first thing I noticed when SBC came out with this risk. Yes, I get it. The things have shifted eastward. All you've seen on Facebook today and on Twitter is about Mississippi. It's about Mississippi. It's about Mississippi. It's about the moderate risk of Mississippi. Nobody's looking at Arkansas. All it takes is one, guys.
Yep.
All it takes is one. Yes, I do agree. Mississippi needs all of the attention because they're in a moderate risk. 15% hatch. They can see some lone tornadoes over there tomorrow. If you know any family over there, they need to have a game plan ready to go. But if you're in Arkansas, particularly in eastern Arkansas, you got to realize something. There's a moderate risk in more northern Mississippi, correct? Where's your storms coming from?
Yep.
Arkansas. They have to come from Arkansas, Louisiana to get to the moderate risk.
And much of eastern Arkansas is in a moderate risk as well.
Exactly.
So Allison.
Let me go back to this real quick.
Yeah. Yes, in fact, yes, the risk area has been bumped up for parts of eastern Arkansas, but the risk still remains the same with the threat of a tornado outbreak across parts of far eastern Arkansas, and then of course across the river into Mississippi. Now, I would not be shocked to see this enhanced risk bumped probably another 50 miles west.
Yeah.
And the moderate risk bumped up another 50 miles west as we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. Guidance slowly has tried to do that westward shift, and it would not shock me to see a slight westward shift as well once we get a better idea on how our capping inversion is going to be handled tomorrow.
Definitely. Sorry, I was taking a look at some comments here. So, let me see. So this is a great question. Is the cold front expected to be formed of a line of storms or an isolated supercell event? That's something that we're still attempting to try to find out right now. The biggest problem we're having right now is there's a capping inversion, and I wish I'd have thought about this. I had a sounding for you guys. I'd have showed you what we're talking about. But we're at the surface, okay? From where we are all the way up has a good amount of moisture. You have a lot of low-level moisture, a lot of almost mid-level moisture. But as soon as you get to the 700 level, you cap off because you have a lot of dry air in place. Can that low-level moisture break the cap of the 700 millibar level? If that happens, you're going to have a lot of storms tomorrow across this area. That's literally what's holding Arkansas back from seeing a potential outbreak. That's literally the only thing. And it's so borderline, it's not even funny. That's why we're telling you guys, don't let your guard down just because you're not in a moderate risk area. You don't have to be in a moderate risk to take severe weather seriously. I don't know why that's a thing, but it should never be a thing. Okay? So, to get back to your question, the cold front moving through, I think it's going to be more of a line of storms because it's going to be so linear, and it's going to push through. That's why your damaging wind threat is there as well, because it's going to count for the cold front pushing through the areas we get towards tomorrow evening and into tomorrow night here. Okay, so keep that in mind here. Notice your expected severe threats. Tornado is standing at the very top of this list. Damaging wind and hail is sitting on the backside. The tornado is standing at the very top for a reason, because it's a supercell threat. I'm glad you were able to find our page as well. This is what I mean. Eastern and southeastern Arkansas gets no coverage because everyone is so focused on Little Rock or so focused on the metropolitan areas, it's not even funny. We're not limited to anything. We cover the entire state. So if you know anybody in eastern and southeastern Arkansas and that are listening to this live stream, tell them about our page. Tell them about what we do. That way they know what to do for tomorrow. Because I know, I'm from South Arkansas. He's from South Arkansas. We both can tell you that there's a lot of people that are going around, saying they don't have coverage, and nobody even talks about that. This is what we do, guys. This is why we're here. We keep you guys updated on a situation like this. So I appreciate that comment as well. Great question as well. Check the batteries on the weather radio, guys. Make sure that weather radio is good to go for tomorrow. Just make sure you're good to go for tomorrow here. And the biggest thing here is I'm gonna read to you guys this discussion. Go ahead, Derek. What's up?
So, all right. So, James.
Oh goodness.
Now.
Goodness.
All right. So here's a commit to this system. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Got it. Backed off of that. By the way.
There's no flurries.
Okay.
Oh, you guys back off of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Never mind.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah. Got us backed off of that.
Originally, we were looking at the possibility of some snow flurries for parts of the Ozarks and the Washita Mountains on Wednesday morning. But that has since backed off. Again, it wouldn't be Arkansas, but with that a little snow event. But again, that has backed off.
Definitely. So let's see if you got any more questions. Let me know.
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of go through everything here because a lot of people are kind of tuning in or saying they didn't see it at the beginning. This is what we're going over right now here. So marginal risk from Mount Home to Mount Ida, all the way down to Hope, Texarkana, and DeQueen. If you're in southwestern Western Arkansas, you're relatively good to go unless things shift westward. And we're going to monitor guidance very closely over the next 12 to 24 hours. That way we guys can give you guys a heads up notice if there's any kind of shift to the west. I would say from Little Rock to Walnut Ridge to Magnolia East, you need to have a game plan ready to go. I'm not going to talk specifics about a moderate risk or an enhanced risk or a slight risk. If you are if you are east of that yellow line right there from Walnut Ridge all the way down to Magnolia, if you're east of that area, you need to have a game plan ready to go for tomorrow, regardless of where you are in the slight, enhanced, or the moderate. If you're west of that area, watch it close. You're still in a very low risk for seeing severe weather. However, I'm fairly confident at this given point, you guys should be good to go unless there's some significant changes throughout the overnight hours here. So, Cam Williams, one of our storm chasers, he's going to be out tomorrow giving us views from the ground. We're going to have him along with a lot of radar and chasing coverage on the page tomorrow, so keep that in mind. Across the area here, we're going to be relying on our storm chasers and our storm spotters tomorrow, especially across eastern Arkansas for this event. Timing, let's talk about timing real quick. I know I kind of speed blitzed through it earlier. Like I mentioned before, we can't give you minute by minute, hour by hour timing. It's specific timing by city or county. It can't happen. It's physically impossible, especially when you're dealing with severe weather. But what we can do is give you a broad timing on when to at least expect it. So we're talking from Mount Home to Conway to Little Rock to Searcy to Batesville down to Hope, Texarkana from 11 a.m. tomorrow morning to 7 p.m. And keep this in mind, timing may change by the time we get towards first thing tomorrow morning. Because we'll have a better idea of what we're looking at by the time we get towards first thing tomorrow morning. Very important that you guys stay with us throughout, not tonight, first thing tomorrow morning, lunch tomorrow, and tomorrow afternoon. Don't unplug from us, guys, okay? Make sure that you're staying tuned with us throughout the day. 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. throughout the area. Eastern Arkansas, we're talking 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon all the way to 11 o'clock, and there's some computer model guidance that's even suggesting we may be dealing with this all the way to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. Keep that in mind, okay? We're going to watch it closely. Eastern Arkansas, you're the target point of this situation. November 4th, it was Western Arkansas. This event is Eastern Arkansas. So keep that in mind here, guys. Don't let your guard down because you're not in the red zone. It shouldn't be red zone or nothing. It should be green zone or nothing. Okay? That's how it should be. It should be from that marginal risk all the way east. It needs to have a game plan for severe weather for tomorrow. Northwestern Arkansas, you're good. You're not in a severe threat at all. I think you guys are going to be good to go over there in northwestern Arkansas for tomorrow. So you shouldn't have to worry too much over there. It's just my folks in eastern Arkansas, especially along the Mississippi River, you need to have a game plan ready in place for tomorrow. Mississippi, and I know there's a lot of people asking about Mississippi. You guys are in a moderate risk for severe weather over there. Okay, we will have some coverage going over northern Mississippi and northwestern Mississippi tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, as storms move into that general area. So if you have family or friends in that area, we will have coverage for those as well. I think we were kind of talking about kind of extending our viewing area just a little bit, just to kind of cover Memphis's area at this point, which does include much of the moderate risk areas. So we'll watch it closely for tomorrow. But the biggest thing is, if you're in Mississippi, northern Mississippi, you need to have a game plan ready to go for tomorrow. You need to have a weather radio ready to go. Storms are going to be moving 50 to 60 miles per hour, so you're not going to have a lot of time to react. You need to have a game plan ready to go for tomorrow. You got any more questions?
The biggest thing is that we're going to be, when the first warning goes out, we will likely be live throughout the duration of the event from that point forward, because once the first warning goes out, we want to give you ahead of the game throughout the entire event. Exactly what we did on November 4th as well, because once the first warning went out, we were live for over 5 hours straight.
Yeah.
And again, the biggest thing I do like about this event is that it is speed up enough where hopefully by midnight it's across the Mississippi River and we're done. I know a lot of people worry about those overnight events and stuff like that, but if this slows down a little bit, then like I said, there's still a lot of questions that have to be answered for this event, even within our 24-hour time frame. This time tomorrow night we will likely be live covering tornado warnings, but right now our job is to get you prepared for the same thing. And right now, again, I know everybody has storm anxiety. It's high. We just went through an event literally 3 weeks ago, and we're doing it again. Again, it's Arkansas. It's the winter time. This is what happens. We get severe weather events in the fall and the winter, sometimes more significant than what we get in spring. So it's just something. But as always, we will walk through it. We'll be here with you, and of course, we'll guide you through the storm. And as always, in Arkansas, we'll get through it together. Definitely.
So we got a lot of people asking about Louisiana and Mississippi. With Louisiana, I think you guys, especially down there in Monroe and Ruston, you guys are in the same boat as Arkansas. You guys are in the slight enhancements down there. Northeastern Louisiana is in the moderate risk as point. Elizabeth, we get this question all the time. We're going to be live. Guys, I know everybody's anxiety is through the roof, but you don't have to worry about us disappearing on you, okay? We're not going to disappear on you guys. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be live on Facebook. As a matter of fact, if you have YouTube, go subscribe to our YouTube page, because we're going to have a constant 24-hour stream for this event on YouTube. We can't do it on Facebook because of the algorithm issue and running a big risk when tornado warnings happen. But on YouTube, you don't have that risk. So if you have a YouTube page, go subscribe to our YouTube page, because we're going to have all that information and stuff like that constantly going throughout the day. And then if tornado warnings happen, we'll break in and stuff like that here. But that's going to be the biggest thing over there. That's kind of something I'm wanting to try out and go from there. But Elizabeth, you don't have to worry about us disappearing or not covering or anything like that. We're going to be here tomorrow, regardless of what happens. If it's severe thunderstorms, if it's tornado warnings, stuff like that, we're going to be here. So that should not even be a thought in anybody's head. We're going to be here tomorrow, guys, okay? So there's timing. One thing I want to stress to you guys, okay, and I'm going to read this, and thank you, Cam, by the way, for sending this in the chat. This is from the National Weather Service in Memphis. Basically, I'm going to kind of keep it short, sweet, straight to the point. Any storms that get going where tornadic storms appear, any storms that get going are going to be in what's called a particularly dangerous convective environment, which means, in layman's terms, is that any storms that get going will likely go tornadic very quickly. Okay, tornadic storms will appear to arrive suddenly. This is why they're stressing so much. So remember, the Memphis area includes Jonesboro, Blytheville, all the way down, I believe, to Arkansas County, and then it goes into northwestern and northern Mississippi, and includes western Tennessee, and then the Boot Hill region up there in Missouri. So this is including their entire area. They're not just specifically going off of the moderate risk. They're going for the slight, the enhanced, and the moderate risk, okay? But anyways, their discussion goes as follows. Where tornadic storms appear to arrive suddenly, preceded by little, if any, visual or audible notice. Definitely a time to keep weather radio with battery and backup and a fully charged cell phone nearby. They are stressing that a lot. Dustin, if you can do me a favor, or Cam, basically on YouTube, it's the same name as our Facebook page. It's the same name. You can go like and stuff like that, subscribe. Make sure you hit that. It's going to be a bell icon on there. Make sure you hit that. That way you get notifications on YouTube. But on YouTube, we're going to have that up and ready to go. That way you guys aren't missing anything
and
at this
something
point.
else we're going to do, we also we'll share links to our Chasers
Definitely. YouTube as well, yeah.
Feeds as well, so that way you can watch them while watching us as well.
Yep. So let me see here. We'll go over everything at this point. I've went over the tornado risk. There's tornado safety. There's high wind risk for tomorrow. There is a large hail threat, by the way, for eastern Arkansas. It's a low, large hail threat. Western Arkansas, you're at a very low risk at this point, but just don't let your guard down, guys, okay? I want to stress that. Also, one more thing I want to get to while I still have everybody here, okay? The difference between a watch and a warning. We have this a lot, especially during severe weather events. When a watch goes out, that means conditions are favorable for the development of severe weather. They are issued 6 hours in advance sometimes, maybe as late as 1 to 2 hours before severe weather gets started. Biggest thing is be alert, okay? Be alert for severe weather at this point. Rose, thank you for that. One of my forecasts or whatever, try to pin that so that people can go and like it. But anyways, the difference between that watch is be alert if a watch goes out tomorrow. Is it going to be a PDS? Likely not. I don't know yet. Okay, we don't know that information until it happens. The warning, however, if a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, one thing I'm going to harp tomorrow too, if a severe thunderstorm warning gets issued, do not let your guard down, because the way Memphis is sounding, there's going to be a lot of tornado possible severe thunderstorm warnings tomorrow.
Yep.
Do not let your guard down if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning for tomorrow. You need to have a plan ready to go. Severe weather is forming, observed, or detected by radar. We have an awesome software that's going to be on this computer over here that's going to help us determine where the tornado debris signatures are going to be. It's going to be an awesome program. We're going to have it for you guys tomorrow. But anyways, warnings are issued a few minutes to 1 hour prior of severe storms. So the biggest thing is, if a warning gets issued, regardless if it's tornado or severe weather, severe thunderstorm, take action. Get into your shelters and get away from windows, put as many walls to the outside as possible, even if it's severe thunderstorm warning. The biggest thing I want to stress to you guys tomorrow is if a severe thunderstorm warning gets issued, especially in eastern Arkansas, go ahead and take your tornado precautions. Go ahead and do it. That way you guys are staying ahead of the game at this point. Dylan, sorry I'm late. Any changes with recent model guidance? We've been watching model guidance all day long. There has been some subtle changes to the west at times. Eastern Arkansas is still in the bullseye regardless. But the biggest thing is from the I-30, I-40 corridor to the east is where the biggest threat is going to be at this point, Dylan. So we're watching model guidance closely, but the biggest thing I want to stress with model guidance is our system, the mischief system, the one that's going to be causing all the issues here. just got sampled as of 18Z. It just got sampled. So we don't have a lot of information on our system until the 0Z, the 06Z, which is going to be first thing tomorrow morning, and then the 12Z tomorrow around lunch. So we're not going to have a lot of information until we get to that narrow little time frame. So that's why we're watching water guidance closely. We'll watch the situation closely at this point. Okay, so any more questions across the board?
Am I getting any more questions? Mostly about, my town, basically, the different town stuff like that. So let's go back to the weather outlook one more time, just to give everybody an idea of what we're looking at. Again, if you live in western Arkansas, this includes Silent Spring. I've got a lot of questions from up there in Springdale and Silent Springs area. The biggest thing is, if you live in northwest Arkansas,
you're good.
You're in the clear for this event.
You're good.
You're in the clear, no worries. Go about your day like normal. May get a few scattered showers or isolated storms, but for the most part, there's a very, very, very low chance of happening. Rankings about 20 to 30% up there tomorrow. Now, for our folks in eastern Arkansas, we're talking Walnut Ridge, Jonesboro. There's a lot of tornado-weary people, especially around Bay, Monette, Truman, from last year's December 10th event. Do not let your guard down at all. This is an event where things go from 0 to
100.
100 in a matter of a few moments. Once storms go up, they will go tornadic very, very fast tomorrow. That's if storms go up. Again, the biggest question is, how does the capping inversion affect this event? That is going to be the number one question. If we start to see, and the National Weather Offices will be putting up special soundings throughout the day tomorrow that will help everything to evaluate the atmosphere ahead of the system coming in. By noon tomorrow, we'll have a really good idea as to what to expect as we head into tomorrow afternoon, evening. Do I expect a tornado watch to be issued? Yes.
Most definitely.
I don't think it'll be a PDS, simply because there's too many question marks regarding the system. But the coverage of storms will also be another question. Do we see one or do we see many? And again, all it takes is one to be a bad day. If you're at a slight risk, enhanced risk, moderate risk, or marginal risk, there's at least an isolated threat of a tornado or damaging winds tomorrow.
Yeah.
Will there be widespread? In the marginal risk, probably not. Will it be widespread and slight risk? Maybe not. Enhanced risk and moderate risk, yes.
Okay. So the biggest thing is, I'm going to go back over, and I know a lot of people are just wondering about Futurecast. I know the Futurecast. I know everybody wants to see Futurecast. I want to stress this right now. It's not going to be 100% accurate. Okay. It's not going to be 100% down the bone. Don't take it as 100% it's going to happen. Don't do it. Okay, because if you go off of the Futurecast right off the gate right now, notice something. This is a completely different model that I just pulled up. Look what's going on. Remember the HR had no storms down here.
Yep.
Look what's going on down here now. We've got storms developing right around that 5-6 p.m. time frame. And this is the high-res dam, by the way. And we're going to take this out a little bit further. And you can see, southeastern Arkansas, you need to have a plan ready to go for tomorrow. Any storms that get going, look up here now. You've got cells going up in northeastern Arkansas. I think the high-res dam is really hitting on that eastern Arkansas threat more. And you can see what's going on back here, too. Look at your line of storms starting to deform up here in northwestern Arkansas from the cold front. So I think it's going to be a combination of both. You're going to have to watch the situation closely, guys. This is going to be a situation that is going to be nailed down during the event. It's not going to be something that's going to be like, hey, this is when we're going to get a severe weather threat. This is when we're going to get a tornado right here at this moment. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be something that you just got to be prepared for throughout the day. Great question. Eastern Arkansas, they're probably going to be lone track tornadoes. If any storms go up in that Memphis area, and I'm going to draw this out so kind of give you its perspective on what Memphis covers. This is what Memphis covers all through here. Okay? So their coverage area goes all the way through here. They are talking about the potential of lone track tornadoes in this particular area. Keep in mind, this is a slight risk. The majority of this is the enhanced risk, and then you have the moderate risk over here in far eastern and in northwestern Mississippi. Okay? They are talking about the potential of lone track tornadoes tomorrow. So you need to have a plan ready to go in this area. That does include Memphis, Helena, that includes Jonesboro, along I-30, and stuff like that. That's going to be the biggest thing tomorrow. Have a plan ready to go. Not I-30, I-40. Excuse me. Have a plan ready to go for tomorrow, guys. That's the biggest thing I want to stress. Don't focus on just the threat of it's going to be a long track tornado, it's going to be spin-ups. Have a plan ready to go for tornadoes for tomorrow. Okay, so biggest thing is a lot of people are asking about specific cities and counties and stuff like that. Let's go back to this real quick. Okay, this area here, and I'm trying my hardest to make this as crystal clear as possible. If you are from Mount Home to the Queen East, that's everybody. I'm not gonna sit here and specify every single risk at this point. It can't happen because severe weather is so unpredictable. It doesn't go off of just risk. It goes off of if your environment is capable of producing severe weather, it's going to happen regardless of where you are in the risk. That's just how it is. So from north central to southwest Arkansas into eastern Arkansas, you need to have a game plan ready to go regardless of where you are. You can be in a moderate, slight, enhanced, marginal, I don't care. You need to have a plan ready to go just to be on the safe side for tomorrow. If it doesn't happen, great. You got out of it without severe weather. But if it does happen, you're good to go and you're ready to go for tomorrow here, okay? So will the cold front bring bad storms or maybe not? We'll see. The high-risk dam is really wanting to kind of light up that cold front, and I think you will see storms along the cold front. The cold front is just too strong. You're going to have temperatures dropping into, I believe, the 30s and 40s behind this front. So it's just too strong for it to not produce anything along the cold front, and we'll just have to watch for a damaging wind threat if that were to verify. And also, you have to watch for a tornado threat along that cold front as well.
Yep.
So
lots of wind energy.
Lots of wind energy in place. Yeah.
With this system, and once again, now when you wake up in the morning, don't let your guard down. I can see it right now. We're gonna get a lot of inboxes in the morning. Oh, it's cold outside. It's not gonna do anything. This is a classic cold season system where you're gonna go from cold and flip it to warm and humid within a few hours. You're gonna get your weather and go right back to cold again.
Yep.
So again, this literally there's a window of about 6 to 12 hours where it's going to feel awfully like spring. Then we're going to go right back to our fall and winter setup once again. So, once again, just to reiterate everything.
Matter of fact, I was I didn't mean to catch up, but I was getting ready to talk to you about the HLR.
Yep.
The newest runs of the HLR to the west now.
Yep.
It's now coming back into Arkansas. So the supercells you saw over there in Mississippi, it's now beginning to slide west back into the state. If that trend holds, you know what's going to end up happening.
We'll see this risk shift back west.
Yeah.
So once again, we're going to have information tonight, later tonight, first thing in the morning.
I'm going to post that county map since it's live stream.
And if this risk shifts west, we will not wait to post that. It'll be up at midnight.
Definitely. Yeah. I was going to say
thank you for volunteering.
Yeah.
But once again, if the risk shifts west, I do believe, if anything, they'll wait till 7 o'clock in the morning.
It will wait and see. I think
they'll wait till the 7 o'clock in the morning update.
Because you'll get a lot of data coming in tonight.
West.
Yeah.
But again, I would not be shocked to see the enhanced risk as far west as Magnolia to Pulaski County up to the Walnut Ridge area, with the moderate risk from Blytheville to Brinkley to Stuttgart and Pine Bluff down to El Dorado. I would not be shocked.
I'm very concerned about Eastern Arkansas.
Again, I do believe Northwest Arkansas, you're still going to be good either way.
Yeah.
With the West Arkansas, you're still going to be good either way.
I will say this, though, especially with the high-risk dam. If it starts getting a lot more, a lot of trends happening with the cold front, and if it starts producing severe weather along that cold front, I wouldn't rule out that marginal risk may get pushed further to the northwest to kind of account for the cold front coming in. But either way, the biggest threat in northwestern Arkansas will be to your south and east at this point. I don't think you're going to see a lot. This is not going to be a November 4th repeat for you guys over there in western and northwestern Arkansas, where you saw a lot of tornado warnings. Yep. But I wouldn't rule it out, especially with the cold front. We'll have to watch the cold front close, but should be just hailers if that's the case here, guys.
We appreciate y'all as well.
Definitely.
Just stay tuned with us. Again, we'll be here all day tomorrow, all night tomorrow night, as needed. And we will be tracking this all day long for you right here on your source
for all things Arkansas weather.